Hello, 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 hello. I'm so excited. Another YouTube live. I'm excited to be back on here and doing my live again. I used to do it. If y'all follow me, y'all know I used to do my live consistently. Then the pandemic happened and I stopped. But your girl is back and I'm excited. I have Kina on here with me joining, and we're going to be talking about blocked to bliss. Blocked to bliss. Are you blocked? Well, let me go ahead and have Kina go ahead and introduce herself. I'm so excited to have her on here.
Well, thank you for having me. What's up, everybody? Happy Hump Day Wednesday. And I think it's appropriate to say Hump Day because of some of the things we're going to talk about. But my name is Kina Hodges. I am an embodiment and personal growth coach. I am also a Kundalini energy healer and Tantra teacher and yoga teacher and herbalist and a whole bunch of other things. Most importantly, I am a mom. And I'm excited to be here with you all tonight. So let's hop right into it.
Yes, I'm excited. Okay, I was just sending out and I realized I didn't put the time on here. All right. Well, anyway, um that is good. I'm excited. I'm excited. So as you guys are coming on, say hello, let us know that you are here. If you have any questions, we like this to be interactive. Let us know what questions you might have. So um as Kina said, we're going to be talking just about bliss, about pleasure. So, pleasure is your birthright, but so many of us don't experience pleasure to the fullest, right? There's so many different reasons, right? Emotional blockages, spiritual blockages, religious blockages, feeling guilty, um, physical blockages, so many different things. So, let me dive into the first question that we're going to talk about. So, speaking of the blockages, so what are some common energetic and emotional blockages that keep people from experiencing bliss in their lives and their relationships?
That's a great question. So I would say a couple of them are like feeling disconnected from pleasure, feeling disconnected from your body, holding on to resentments or past heartbreak. So, there are these unhealed traumas that we store. There's a quote by Gabor Mate, and he says that trauma is not what happens to you, but it's about what happens inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so
That's interesting. Okay.
yeah. So like, with when we experience things, those things we experience are a very, they happen in a very short period of time, right? They take 5 seconds, 10 seconds, an hour, but we give it a meaning, right? We assign meaning to it and then we store it away. And so when we have all of these stored um, emotions and experiences and traumas, that also is a way that keeps you disconnected and blocked, and it creates um, different diseases or ailments within the body. And so let's see, another one, any type of sexual guilt or shame can keep you disconnected, um, and suppressing your emotions that causes like tension and tightness and numbness in the body as well. And your body keeps score, so
Yeah.
it stores things at a cellular level, and it shows up in a number of different ways, and oftentimes we ignore those flags that our body gives us as cues, like, hey, we need to address this before it gets worse. So those are just some of those signals, but your body is always speaking to you. And then the question just becomes, are you listening?
Exactly, exactly. Are you listening? Because that's the difficulty, right? Is listening and just being aware that our body is speaking to us. And there's a book called Your Body Keeps Score, and I love that book.
Love that
Really,
book.
really good. I
Mhm.
actually use that a lot with my clients. Whenever they're like, this is going on, I'm like, I read that book. Okay, you have allergies. This is what that means. And it's usually right on point. And so, and that's the thing, like you said, our body holds on to trauma.
Mhm.
And our body, it holds on to the trauma in our DNA, in the cellular memory, right? And it goes back for many generations, maybe even up to 7 generations, I've heard, but maybe even further, who knows,
Yeah.
And so when you don't do the work to release that trauma that's stuck in our body, in our cellular memory, or in the DNA, then we don't have the amount of pleasure that we can have.
That's right.
And yes, pleasure is our birthright.
Yes.
And I personally grew up Catholic, right? So I had all of this shame and guilt around sexuality.
Hmm.
And so it messed me up. It blocked me from being able to have orgasms and like full body orgasms, multiple orgasms.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I, I started letting go of that shame and that guilt, started
Hmm.
letting go of the trauma, when if your parents were sexually abused, your mom was sexually abused, or your grandmother was sexually abused, you hold that in your body.
You sure do.
We do. And so, a lot of times I would like flinch or whatever, if someone touches me, if a guy touched me or something, and I'm like, why is this happening? But it was the trauma
Mhm.
that, that was not mine.
Right.
And
Right.
so through doing this work with tantra and breath work and releasing the shame and guilt, I got to own my body and and realize what my body is saying so
Hmm.
that I can feel pleasure.
Yes, we speak the same language. We
and,
see.
and and that's what I think, like a lot of us who are in this work, we come into this work for a reason, right? And we
Mhm.
come into because we probably had some experience
Yeah.
to some degree. And so we do the work and we start to learn and we start to heal and we say, okay, I want to share this with other people.
Right. So, yeah, my mantra, my life mantra is that when you heal yourself, you heal the collective. And
Hmm.
so, like you, I grew up in a very religious family, not Catholic, but, grew up in the Christian church and, baptized in the Baptist church, grew up in the AME Zion church, sang on a choir, was on a praise team, was involved in all the things. And there was a shame there when I got pregnant with my son. I remember how I was ostracized by the very church that I had been a member of for like almost 20 years at that point.
Wow.
How I went from, special K because I was this athlete and I played professionally and it was something that you could hang your hat and brag about.
Hmm.
Um, you know, um, and then I was pregnant and, they just automatically assume, out here being fast. I'm like, I don't even know what that means at this point. Right. Um,
Right.
but I had gone to my church to seek refuge. I was coming out of a very physically and financially and emotionally and mentally abusive relationship. And all that the focus was on wasn't on my healing. It was on the fact that Kina is, pregnant out of wedlock, you know,
Hmm.
we baptized the baby, and all of this stuff, And so I had to seek healing somewhere else because it wasn't where I was taught to go. It
Hmm.
wasn't available to me. I had been inappropriately touched in the church. Um, I was raped at 17. And so there were a lot of things that I personally had to face. I had to
Hmm.
do that shadow work. I had to stand in the mirror and say, I no longer want this. I don't want to carry this anymore.
Hmm.
And by making those decisions and doing the work and doing some of these exercises and practices and learning the things that I like and not being ashamed of who I am and what I want to do and, and all of those things have brought me to this place. But I will say that um, the religious guilt, right,
Hmm.
that we carry is I found that to be one of the hardest things to release. But
Yeah.
once I released it, it was like, oh yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Like, why don't y'all want to experience this again? Like, yeah. So
Yeah, it's wow, and it's sad. It's really, really sad because, you know, our place where we should feel safe, where we should feel like, okay, I could go to for support, for healing,
hmm.
oftentimes or sometimes is the place that hurts us the most,
Absolutely. Hmm.
And it's sad because, when I left Catholicism and I started going to a regular church, it was one of the things, I started going to non-denominational churches, different things like that. Like I loved it and I really felt like you know, in the Bible, there was tons of stuff for everything that we needed, right? We
Mhm.
could find everything that we need. Um, but unfortunately, it's run by people. And there's a lot of people in there who are running, who are hiding, who are sick, who have different things that's going on with them, right? And so it becomes where it's no longer our place of refuge, it's no longer our safe place,
Yeah.
and it harms us. And I remember when I found Reiki, and I went back to my friends in the church, and I was like, oh my God, I did this thing and it was so great, it was so amazing. They're like, oh my God, that's evil, that's devil, the
Uh,
energy is coming from the devil, it's demonic and all of this stuff. And I'm like, but it felt good.
right.
And so, I had a couple of those experiences of things that felt good, but they were saying, no, that's demonic. And
Yeah.
so that led me to leave the church
Yep.
because, and to be able to form my own relationship with God
Absolutely.
outside of what man says.
Hmm.
Because I don't believe that God is a punishing God. I don't believe that God wants us to feel guilt, to feel anger, to feel pain.
Hmm.
Things happen, obviously, and we learn and we grow and we heal.
Yeah.
But if we weren't meant to feel pleasure or bliss, we wouldn't know what that is.
Right. Right.
Women wouldn't have a clitoris, which its whole purpose is
And
for
we are divinely made. Okay.
we are
So,
divinely made, right? Men wouldn't have a penis or a lingam,
right. Right. Right.
right? I see people coming on, say hello. I
Yeah.
know I saw Phil said happy hump day.
Right.
Happy hump day, Phil, if you're still on here. Um, and hey, 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 to those coming on, say hello. Say hello. And I want to hear, what are your thoughts about bliss, about pleasure? What has blocked you from feeling pleasure?
Hmm.
What has stood in your way? You
Yeah.
know, and so when I moved to Brazil and I learned Tantra, and I learned tantric breath work, tantric yoga, tantric meditations, and tantric massage,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like, wow,
Huh?
I didn't know my body could experience such things. Y'all,
Right.
let me tell you. Hey, y'all coming on here? Come on, you coming on? Tell me what you know about tantra. Let's get hot. Let's start talking.
Let's start talking. Because, people think Tantra is just about sex, right? Like they hear Tantra and they're like, ooh, Keena, you're going to teach me how to have better orgasms, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure, sexual orgasms, but also learning how to live an orgasmic life, right? Like,
Exactly.
and it's not just like if you can experience the type of bliss that you have sexually, if you can create that mind body connection where your brain still has that feeling, but you have it in all of these other areas, like that's a totally different kind of experience.
Totally different
And
experience.
I didn't learn tantra until like I didn't start practicing or kind of testing it out, playing with tantra until I was in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have.
Girl, in your 40s, you look like you like 35. What you
Thank you.
talking
Thank you. I'm 45. Thank you so much.
about?
But I remember when I had my first full body orgasm, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
What is that? I remember when I had an extended orgasm that lasted like 10, 15 minutes. And I remember my partner at the time was like, what's happening? I'm like, just let it
Just go
happen.
with it. Yeah.
Just I don't even need you. You just go do what you're gonna do. Just
Right?
leave me over here. I got this. Um, I remember when I used when we did a microcosmic orbit,
Yes, breathing. Yeah.
and we were like intentional about our intercourse to manifest some things and speak into each other's vision and dreams and goals, and how utilizing that energy and understanding that I'm bringing my fire energy and you bring your energy and those things together, and then watching how things just unfolded for both of our lives, and how using tantra has helped me heal 7 generations of women in
Yeah.
my family. And so tantra has been it's been amazing because not only have I learned more about me and what I like and what I don't, I've even found out like I got a little bit of an exhibitionist in me, like you're just like, oh, okay, well let's try, because again, all of these things were so taboo growing up. Like, we didn't talk about sex. I just knew I wasn't supposed to have it till I was married.
Right. And it's just for procreation.
Right. And it's like, okay, that's it. It's only for procreation. My great grandfather and great grandmother, they had 21 kids, right?
Oh my God.
21 kids. And no twins, no triplets, just 21 separate births. And my cousin tells me a story of how when my great grandmother could no longer have kids, my great grandfather stopped having sex with her.
What?
And it was like, well, damn, like that's a sucky life.
Right? Like they were probably in their 70s by that point anyway.
I don't think so. But still, and see, I don't feel like that just because I'm 60 or 70.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying they were probably in their 70s. And at that point, after 21, just tired. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, my great grandmother was a firecracker. She and I have the same birthday. So she probably wanted to get some more. God rest her soul.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying. Living in a Tantra community, I lived there for 2 years. And it was just like doing all of that stuff, the tantric massage, the tantric breath work, the tantric meditations, all of that. Yeah. Like I had an orgasmic life. Like, like eating became orgasmic. Yes. Dancing became orgasmic. Getting a massage became orgasmic. Mm-hmm. And it was like feeling pleasure and bliss all the time. Yes. And just like you said, and I tell people this all the time because people come to me as well. Oh, you teach Tantra. I want to have better sex. And like you said, I want to have more orgasms. And that is great, but the whole sexual component is only 5% of Tantra. Correct. And there's a whole 95%, which is about doing that shadow work, doing the breath work, the meditations, releasing the traumas that's stuck in your body so that you can have a more fulfilling life. Right. So that you can experience joy in every aspect of your life. Absolutely. And so many people are just walking around blah.
Yeah. Very blah. I tell people that Tantra is the intersection between sacred sexuality and spirituality. Because once you start doing the work, right? Once you start moving blocks, dissolving blocks, releasing things, healing, and start moving from, kind of this pain to pleasure, you realize that that only happens with your connection to self and higher power, right? So whatever you call God, right? God, spirit, Allah, higher power, etc. And I oftentimes I'll use some Bible verses as references just because that was, kind of like my upbringing. But, it was for me, once I realized, I was like, well, the Bible said that greater is he that's in me, right? And that I'm created in the likeness of God. So I have this God body, right? God is in me. I don't need to attach to a religion or a particular spiritual text. I have this inner relationship with God. And once I started to tap into that, remove all of the outside dogma of the rules of how I'm supposed to interact with God versus what felt innate to how I wanted to be in relationship with God and self, that's really when I started having shifts. That's when my mindset started to change. And when my mindset started to shift, then I was open to things because I was releasing things. Now I had more space to receive things. And, once you're kind of just open in general, when you're open physically, now you're having all types of experiences. I can go to the grocery store and have this orgasmic bliss because, hey, I always have everything I need. And so it's just, life has been amazing since I stepped away from um, dogma, right? And stepped into truly understanding, studying to show myself um,
Mm-hmm.
approved, and being able to ask the questions. And if
Yes.
you can't answer the questions, I need to go somewhere I can get some answers and then see
Mm-hmm.
if that works, but have this relationship for myself. Yoga was also one of those things that I dove like head first into after I had this emotional release, right? I had
Mm-hmm.
this block that just released and I had no idea why.
Yes.
But like you, when I was talking about yoga, I was told that yoga was like Christians didn't do yoga, but no one could tell me
But
why.
you'll be right because they don't understand it,
Correct.
right? They don't
Right.
understand it. So as opposed to opening, you know what? I'm not gonna just say they don't understand it. I'm gonna actually go deeper because it is deeper, honestly. Let me keep it real.
Keep it all the way real.
Agree, gonna keep it real.
Go all the way
So it's a business, right? These
real.
churches, Christianity, all of this, it's a business. And so the way they continue to thrive is getting your business, having you pay tithe every week when you go, right? Now, um, is it all only just about taking your money? Not necessarily.
Mhm,
But the thing is, when we work with our sexual energy, that Kundalini energy, it's empowering.
mhm.
Now, when you do yoga, you're still working with that Kundalini energy,
Absolutely.
that chi. If you do Qigong, whatever you're doing, we're using our universal life force energy,
Mhm.
that sexual energy. That's what gives life. And so when we become empowered and we know how to channel that energy, which means we're manifesting anything that we want, we have a life that's happy, that's fulfilled. We no longer need to go to someone who's
Correct.
instilling fear upon us and
Right.
taking money from us, right? So they say that is evil, that is demonic, to keep you in your place,
Mhm.
to keep you in line, to keep you afraid. So that's the heart of the matter,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So same thing. We don't want to get people healthy. We want to keep them sick because it's
Absolutely.
a money maker. If
Absolutely.
they're sick and they're eating all kinds of crap and junk food, they're
Mhm.
going to big pharma buying these medications.
Right.
They're going to the doctors, keeping money in the pocket. So it's all about why empower people to live their best, to live a beautiful, happy, healthy, joyful life. And real quick, as people are coming on, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you can know when my upcoming lives are going to be coming up. I'm doing them weekly, but so you can get that notice in your box. All right.
Mhm.
So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Pleasure is healing, right? And um, that's one of the things that once you realize, right? Like, and pleasure comes in a number of different ways.
Hmm.
When I teach, I talk about how, we are works of art and works in progress, right?
Yeah.
And so cultivating a life of gratitude is about finding the joy in the duality of who we are. And once you can find joy in who you are, right? In the work of art, in the mess,
Mhm.
um, you realize
Real
that
quick, yes, tax exempt business. Yes, Phil. That's what it is. Go ahead.
you realize that what was I saying? Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, but you do realize that once I can once I choose gratitude, once I choose joy, like with awareness comes choice. So moving from block to bliss is about choice. It's about choosing, right? It's
Mhm.
about choosing to say enough is enough,
Yes.
choosing to want to experience something else, choosing to be like, I have always had enough. I always have enough. I
Mhm.
will always have enough. Sure, I look at my bank account, might want more, but
Mhm. Yeah.
and I can still have joy and gratitude for that which I have, right? And
Yeah.
so For me, I can, like you said, getting a massage, right? Like I can find pleasure in that. Doesn't mean I'm having an orgasm on the table. It just means that I'm grateful for the opportunity to
Child, let
rest.
me tell you, I have had an orgasm on the
Oh,
table
I
getting
have
a
too. I definitely have. I'm just not saying, unless it's not like that. I don't
I
have
know,
to have it,
not all the
but I
time,
definitely
but
have,
it'd
and
be
I'm
like, ooh.
grateful with no assistance. Like these aren't happy ending massages, but
Right, right.
if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like go for it.
Go for it.
You know,
Ah.
but
All right.
again,
So, those of you who are watching, if you've ever had an orgasm while getting a massage, go ahead and comment that you have, or go ahead and comment. Come on, let's get juicy. Go ahead and comment. What's the craziest way you've had an orgasm? Or I should say, craziest, unexpected way. Let us know. Let us know. What's an unexpected way that you've had orgasm? Or if you have any more tips, go ahead and share those too. But yeah, it's so funny because for me, I love a good stimulating conversation. And
mhm.
I can literally have orgasms from a great conversation.
Yes, sapiosexual.
Um
Yes.
so Eva Gypsy Love says never have. Interesting. Wish I would have though. Yeah. Well, come on, girl. We gonna get you. We gonna get you to have an orgasm while you get a massage, a regular massage, not the happy ending massage.
Right. Right.
But the key to it. Okay, so let's go into that. Saying that, right? And we have really been kind of talking about this, but what are some specific things that people can do to release those blockages so that they can receive? And I know one of the biggest things is surrendering, right? Um surrendering. What are some other things that people can do to like really just release those blockages so that they can have pleasure? I'll
Yeah.
let you go first and then I'll tap in.
Okay.
All right.
So I start with mindset first, right?
Mhm.
So, we have what's called I won't get too into the neuroscience of it all, but I nerd out on this. But we
I
have
love
these
that.
we have these
See, you
cycles.
about to make me have an orgasm. Go ahead and nerd out on that, girl.
But we have these psychocybernetic loops, right? And it's basically that your beliefs, right, influence the way that you think, and the way that you think influences your emotions and your feelings, which influences your actions, which then leads to results. And those results are always going to be 100% in alignment with your initial belief. And your belief is simply a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for me, when personally and also when I'm coaching, I'm starting with let's tackle what's happening up here, because if we can get this under control, then everything else is really, really easy.
Yeah.
The mind gives up before the body does.
Yes.
Right? So your body wants things, it's your mind, your brain thinking that it's protecting you, really.
Mhm.
That is holding you back, right? Or so for example, let's say you were in a car accident, right? And that car accident maybe only lasted 30 seconds,
Mhm.
but your body, your brain has said, oh no, we need to file that away, right?
Yes.
And so it's a defense mechanism. And so the next time you are, God forbid, you're in an accident again, it's because your brain and body can't process everything all at once. So it's like, let's store some of this away. We'll get to it later. But what happens is we never really get to it later. We just deal
Right.
with the impact of the moment. And then the next time it happens, right? Your body's like, we know what that is. So it's a reaction. You're not responding. You're just, again, reacting an experience that you've already had, dealing with the present. I'll get with the other stuff later. And I keep doing that. So now you have all of this stuff suppressed. And until you can get out of your own head, you're unable to surrender. Like,
Mhm.
even like in yoga classes, I teach a yoga class called Surrender. It's just yin.
I
And
love
it's
it.
literally where we're holding a pose for 5 minutes. You know how challenging it
I
is to stay
love
still
yin
for
yoga. Mhm.
5 minutes.
It is. It
Right.
is. Yeah.
So it's breath work, and it is, but again, it starts with the mind. It
Mm.
starts with,
And once you surrender, that 5 minutes feels like it was a minute, like it
yeah,
was real quick.
yes,
And it's true. Like I love that. Like when you were talking, it made me think when I did my Vipassana retreat. It's a 10-day silent
silent
retreat,
retreat. Mm-hmm.
right? And so when I did that in the beginning, my mind was fighting, and it was like, oh my God, I have blah, 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 like all kinds of things coming to me. And then it was like once I surrendered,
Mm-hmm.
it just became easier.
Right.
I was able to open up and allow the bliss to happen,
Yes.
allow the joy to come in, the wisdom to come in, the
Mm-hmm.
presence. And so that's another thing, being present in
Mm-hmm.
the moment, right, is another way to allow for pleasure to come in.
Yeah, it's like
Right?
surrendering to success, right? Like it's a surrendered success. It's removing the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Abraham Hicks, she refers to it as contrast, right? But it's, we get in our own way. We are usually our own resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And once you can take the resistance out of the equation, right, then you're able to have these different experiences, these desired results. So if your desired result is to experience a physical orgasm, then you get to look at, okay, well, where's the resistance?
Mm-hmm.
Is it me? Is it unhealed trauma? Is it am I carrying somebody else's trauma? Like am I in a fulfilling relationship where I feel like I can be my full self with my
Mm-hmm.
partner? Am I the toxic one? Like you get to go through all of this inventory, right?
Yeah.
And then make a choice. Again,
Right.
awareness comes choice. So make a choice where you're choosing like, all right, well, if it's me, let me work on me. And
Mm-hmm.
then as I start to release some of these things, okay, cool. So, for example, I mentioned that I was date raped when I was 17. And I remember I got pregnant behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy, he was significantly older. Um, he got locked up for something. I didn't really know him that well, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I said no multiple times.
Right.
But I remember I was a senior in high school and I had just signed a national letter of intent to play college basketball.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm not having this baby. And I called my insurance company. I asked them if abortions were covered. They said they were. I had everything scheduled. I called this guy's aunt and I told her what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her that, I was pregnant, wasn't keeping the baby. She got in touch with him at the detention center. And then one day I got a letter sent to my house from him. And I remember my mom was like, who was writing you from the jail?
Mm-hmm.
What pen pal does my 17-year-old daughter have? And I was like, oh, I wasn't a good liar. I was a good actress, but not a good liar. And so she's like, well, here, read it. So I open it up and I'm trying to like read ahead because she's standing in front of me, like,
Mm-hmm.
what's it say? And I'm reading it and I'm trying to skip over where he apologizes for what he did. And he's
Mm-hmm.
apologizing for what I'm getting ready to experience on my own.
Wow.
And so she snatches the letter out my hand and she reads it. And now, granted, he said, I apologize,
Mm-hmm.
right, in the letter, but she, just was like, it's your fault. Like, it wouldn't have happened if you had not let him in the house, right?
Mm.
And as I've gotten older, I've been able to be compassionate because I understand that my mom did the absolute best that she could with what she had at the time. So this is not an indictment to her whatsoever. This is just at that moment, I needed something different.
Right.
And I did not get what I needed in that moment. I was blamed for, someone violating me. And so I was telling her, like, I don't even know why you mad. The procedure is in 3 days, and but it was a really rough time. And I remember the guilt that I felt behind the abortion, the rumors that I was trying to keep it under wraps. And, my mom was talking to her friends about it. I told one of my best friends who told her mama. And so everybody was, but I wasn't confirming it. And, again, I was a star athlete. I just wanted to kind of forget that happened. And I suppressed that for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I started doing work with domestic violence victims. And I mean, suppressed, like I couldn't even remember his name.
Right.
And
Right.
once I made the decision that this is time, like I can't carry this and yet help other people move
Mm.
past their own experiences when I haven't done that. And so I was invited to be a guest speaker at an event, and I was talking about my experience, and his name popped into my head. Like it
Wow.
just came, and I was like, huh, oh, okay. But I could talk about it without the tears and the emotion and everything. It was like this just happened to me, and it was making a choice. I just said like, I'm done carrying this. I'm
Yeah.
done carrying this guilt. And then I did some energy work to release the guilt from the not keeping the baby. But I didn't want to be a teen mom.
Mhm.
I told myself whatever I needed to do to be able to go on and live life how I wanted to live it. Would I make the same decision now? I don't know. Probably at that time, at that age, probably.
Mhm.
Now, maybe not. But I had to release that guilt because I was like, I killed a baby.
Mhm.
And that baby came to me in a dream and
Wow.
was like, it's okay. Um, and in that dream, the baby was in like a booster seat and in the backseat of a car, and the car was kind of like sinking into the ground, and the baby was telling me like it's okay as the baby like
Mhm.
sunk into the ground with the car.
Wow.
I'm grateful that through surrender, right? Through acknowledging this happened to me and I no longer desire to carry this. And now let me feel my feels. Like, let me
Yes.
do what I need to do in this moment. But I'm going to experience bliss. This block is keeping me from having healthy relationships, from making good choices of who I decide to be, my
Mhm.
partner. And so, fast forward now, I'm in my 40s. That's a totally different experience, because I'm no longer carrying this attachment in my womb space. I'm no longer carrying trauma, in my sacral space. Like everything is open and free and liberated, and
Mhm.
so I can, like I said, I can sit here and talk to you and start edging and be like, you have no idea we're having a good old time,
Right, right. And
I,
thank you so much for feeling comfortable, to share all of that, That's it's a hard experience, Um and so but I know that I'm sure it's helping a lot of people who's hearing this right now, and those who need to be here will be here and hear this, you know, um because so many people carry that guilt, that shame, and oftentimes, I'm glad you got to the point where you could forgive your mother and understand she did the best that she could
Mhm,
based on what she knew and where she's at. Because so many times, so many young women, young girls, or even boys are sexually abused.
mhm,
And the parent, don't know how to be there for them to support them,
right.
blame them, or, give the wrong type of support, or say, don't say anything because they're ashamed or
The house
they're
stays in the
embarrassed.
house. Mhm.
Right. So um yeah, and that's the thing, a lot of people when going into the tantra, it's doing that shadow work.
Mhm.
It's going deep down to experience the things that you might have blocked, that you've forgotten, and you're not aware of,
Yep.
because oftentimes we're walking around and we don't even realize we forget stuff. We literally forget stuff, like you were just saying, and so we don't even know that this issue is an issue. And so oftentimes, like with my clients, I'm talking to my clients and they're like, oh my God, I forgot this. And they're telling me this story about their childhood. And so many people don't even remember their childhood. Like
Right.
I didn't remember my childhood because I blocked so much of it out,
Mhm.
and so it's, when we start to do this work with Tantra, we start to go in and dig deep
Yep.
all of this stuff, you know. Eva, are you still on here, Eva? Because I wanna talk to you real quick. I hope you're still on here. If you're on here, say you're still on here. She said she's been 4 years abstinent, and I think it's broken, no feeling. Girl, you're not broken.
Not
You're
broken.
not broken. No, 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 no. And oftentimes, being abstinent for so long, um, can be a good thing actually, because especially if you're choosing to use this time to work on yourself, to
Absolutely.
heal yourself, right? And so when we're abstinent, so oftentimes when we're having sex with other people, we're taking on their energy, right?
It's
And
all.
so yeah, we're taking on their energy. We may not even want that energy.
Mhm.
Um, and not only are we taking on their energy, but we're taking on the energy from their previous partners, right? And those partners. And so it's a buildup. So this is a time, and I love, I go through my periods of abstinence as well.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's voluntary, other times it's involuntary. But when I'm doing, but when I am, I'm like, okay, let me cleanse myself. Like today, I did a spiritual bath. It's the full moon. I do my yoni steaming. I'm doing these things to care for myself and to take care of myself during this time, and making sure that my energy is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Then when I choose to get into a relationship and I choose to allow someone in, that person is worthy of me.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
And I'm not allowing someone who's not worthy to be in my life,
Yeah.
someone who's not giving, who's not healthy, who's not whole, because I'm doing all of this work.
Yeah.
So you need to be here with me or up here.
Correct. Right.
And
Right.
so when you find that person, you're doing your work and you find that person, those feelings are going to come back. You're going to be juicy. Your yoni's going to start vibrating and thumping, and you're going to be like, "Ooh, she awake. What
I
you feeling?"
would
And
even add to that, even like
yeah,
even before finding the partner,
yeah.
I will say it was figuring out what I like, defining what I like, what pleasure is for me.
Yes.
Um, I remember going through my tantra teacher training, and we had to do all of these exercises like yoni mapping and
Yeah.
edging and de-armoring. And I was like, I have not touched myself this much in my entire life that I have in the last 3 months.
Right.
But but again, if we're speaking just sexually, right? Sex is a sacred energy exchange.
Mhm.
And when you look at it, when you shift it from it just being this physical, you know, maybe I get an orgasm, maybe I don't, depending on the partner. But it's more of I actually don't need a partner to
Right.
experience this orgasmic energy, to experience bliss, because I can create it for myself. And so all you're going to do is complement that. You're not going to supplement it. You're there. It's great if the partner's open to practicing tantra, because
Mhm.
that takes things to another level.
Whole nother level.
But
Yeah.
if they're not, you'll even find, even with that, it's kind of like, it's good,
But
but like,
I'm not,
it's
I'm not gonna lie, Tantra ruined me for relationships. And I say that jokingly because my ex, m- we both met at the Tantra commune, and so we had a tantric practice, and it
yeah,
was great. And so, my last ex, this was my second to last ex. My last ex, he didn't know tantra, but at least he was very open and
yeah,
he was very spiritual, so it was really good.
mhm,
He did capoeira, into African spiritualities, ATR, African traditional religion. So, that helped. But then I was like, yo, if he wasn't open, like
you
it
just
would just be okay. I mean, but I could
very
still
vanilla. It would be very bland.
it would be right. But again, like you're saying, like we're both, saying you don't necessarily need them to be right, because we can still have pleasure and enjoy ourselves regardless, right? Or even just by ourselves. But it just takes it to a whole nother level. And when you both are practicing, you can manifest more together, you can heal together.
Yep.
And it's just a powerful thing. It's a sacred thing,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
so
One more thing I want
Philip
to add.
asked the question, how go ahead.
Um,
I was
for
gonna say he asked the question, how long
oh,
does it take to learn Tantra? But
okay.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you don't have a partner, right? One of the things, or a couple of things that you can do just to start to get into your body is dance. Um,
Yes.
and
Girl, we need to go salsa dancing. I keep saying it, like we gotta do it. Like
yeah, like
we both
dance.
love it. Yes.
It can be like you just put some music on in your house and dance naked, you know what? And it's like, people are like, you got to learn how to love yourself. Right. And so, an exercise that I've done with clients is I have them draw like their body and then put pluses and minuses, in the areas that they love and areas that they don't, right?
Mhm.
And then we do some visualization and meditation and things like that for those areas. So they start to come into learning how to love their full selves.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that, is really important, that you have to have a relationship with yourself. Um, you get to, start moving, breathing, doing some breath work, breathing into your sacral areas, into your solar plexus, into your root, into, doing Kegels, things like that. Just doing the Kegel, holding it for 10 seconds, exhaling out.
And I know we have men on here too. So men, you can dance as well.
It can do
And
Kegels as
Kegels
well.
as well. So this is not just for women.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
I've actually taught men how to do Kegels. So what she's saying applies for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
You can do sound healing. There are mantras that you can chant that resonate with various chakras within the body. You can do heart and DNA activation through the sound healing with various instruments, hertz, things like that. So there are a number of ways that you can start to get back. Because remember, I started off by saying that, we're blocked because you're disconnected. So how you get reconnected into the body is by starting with some of those things. And until you're good, I wouldn't even explore adding another person into that equation.
I totally agree with that. Because oftentimes people are, they want to get into a relationship for someone else to take care of them or to
Mhm.
heal them. And that might not even be a conscious thing. Or, and
Yeah.
so it's like you have to be good with yourself first
Mhm.
before trying to enter into a relationship.
Yeah.
And doing the solo tantra is amazing before even going in and trying to do couples tantra.
Yeah.
When I first went into the tantra commune, I was single. I didn't meet my partner until like later, but most of the work that I did was myself by myself, right? um and even just doing the eye gazing with myself in the mirror,
Mhm.
doing candle gazing with the fire gazing, so many different things, journaling, meditating, allowing myself to come up and out.
Up and out. Ugly cry.
Ugly cry.
Ugly cry.
I've cried for months living in the
Yes.
commune. I cried for months, just stuff coming up and seeing stuff that I didn't like, that I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I like every part of me now,
Mhm.
right? There, and that's why I like that exercise that you're talking about, doing the pluses and the minuses, you
Mhm.
know, and getting to the point where we're like, okay, I see me and I accept me
Yeah.
and I love me.
Yeah.
I am whole exactly the way I am. And it's not until then that you can start to say, okay, now I'm ready to get into a relationship because I
Mhm.
can give and I'm not just trying to receive.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. I love that. Perfect, whole, and complete.
Yes. So we didn't even get through all of these little questions. We were just going. It was great. Eva, I don't know if you were still on here. I hope you heard the comment. I hope you were still on here. If anyone else new coming on, say hello. Let us know you are here. Um, let's see. Let's talk about. We kind of talked about. Actually, we kind of talked about a lot of this stuff that I had on here.
Kenneth asked the question,
Yeah.
how can tantric practices improve connection and
Oh,
communication between partners?
thank you.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Okay.
That's a good one. So, I the older you get, hopefully you are dating with intention, right? Um,
Yes. Hey,
and
girl.
one of the things that's really important is communication, right? And
Mhm.
so you can communicate verbally, you can communicate energetically, and you can have like sexual communication, etc. So some of the things that I would recommend, um, would be eye gazing. So
Mm-hmm.
sitting across from your partner, not saying a word, but just gazing, just seeing behind their eyes, seeing into your partner. Um, I love long hugs, right? I remember dating a guy and I was going through a moment and I was like, I just need a really long hug, like
Mm-hmm.
5, 10 minute hug, like just to be held. And he was like, "What?" I mean, I might got you for like 45 seconds. And I was like, you know what? This is not gonna work. This is totally not gonna work. But just holding space for your partner is important. There's a mirroring exercise that I like to do, whether it's like with friends or a romantic partner, but you are sitting across from them and your hands are moving, no one's touching. But it's just, no one's leading, no one's following, but it is just a beautiful way you all just kind of become one. And the next thing bodies start moving and such. And then there's some more sensual practices as well, breath work that you can do. The microcosmic orbit is by far one of my favorites. It is during sex that you are doing the breath work. So it's intentional. Like you're not just out here thrusting and pumping. Like you're you're being intentional about when you're inhaling, your partner is exhaling. And when you're exhaling out of your genital area, they're inhaling you in through their genital area. So it's literally creating this cycle, and it is a powerful experience.
So beautiful.
Those are just some.
Yeah. So those are some of the practices that you can do, right? And so what that does in terms of how can tantric practices improve connection? So everything that she said, what it does is it creates more of a bond, more of an intimacy between the partners, right? So it's not like typically when we have just a traditional relationship, I get clients that say all the time, my partner only touches me when he wants to have sex and I no longer want to. And so these tantric practices, those things that Kina just, described, those give you more intimacy with you and your partner, right? So you feel more connected. And a lot of those things help. Like she was saying, there's so many different types of communication. There's verbal, nonverbal, right? So those things help you to be able to communicate in different ways at a deeper level that you didn't even realize. And so I'm so glad that Eva's still on here. She said, yes, yes, intimate. Oops. Okay. Yes. Intimacy. Into me you see. Let me put that. Yeah. um, Thank you for that. Yeah. So let's see. So Eva, I hope you heard what we talked about. Um, so I'm glad you just showed that you were here and said hello. Because girl, you're not broken. You know, and the intimacy into me you see is also you seeing within you, right? Doing that work, your partner, you and each other seeing each other. Okay, hold on. I didn't know why okay, wait. So Eva is responding. I did. I know why I did it. I didn't want nobody's energy. I needed to get my own energy intact. Perfect. Love it. Yes. And so, but what's making you? Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna ask that question because we're already at 8 o'clock. So let's just leave it at that. Like that's good. You want to make sure your energy is intact, so that is perfect. And so just know you're not broken. Continue to do the work. And let me say, Eva is, was in our class, did the Kundalini energy healing, so she knows what's up. Continue to do this Kundalini healing and all of this work, and do your self tantra. You're gonna realize it ain't broken. And then Bella says, would you say it's important to practice tantra with a specific intention or just allow the practice to reveal what's needed? This is a really, really good. Let me take a stab at it first.
Yeah.
So let me keep it up there. Actually, that's a great question. That is a great question, which I think could really go both ways. So when I first started with Tantra, I did not have a specific intention. But there's two different things, right? You can be working with Tantra to manifest where in that sense, if you're trying to manifest something, I would say it's good to have a specific intention. Now, when I started learning Tantra, I didn't have any specific intentions because Tantra just came to me. It literally came to me. My first experience was when I was in India. I met a guy in India, and we started talking. We kind of hit it off, and next thing you know, we're doing this tantric practice. But we never had penetrative sex. We did exactly, one of the what Keena was talking about. We were eye gazing. We looked into each other's eyes. We did the microcosmic orbit breathing. We were sitting in what's called the Yabiyun position, where um, he's sitting like in a what do you call that? The lotus position or whatever, cross leg. Let's say cross leg, Indian position. And then I was also sitting. I sat on top of him, and so we're looking into each other's eyes, and we're eye gazing, and we're breathing together. And then I started having orgasms, and I was like, "What is this?" Right? I'm like, "Oh, I love this," but we didn't set any specific intention. It was just let's connect, let's get to know each other, right, on a deeper level, and it was so beautiful. And then when I found the Tantra commune, again, I wasn't looking for Tantra. I wasn't looking for anything specific. Um, I was actually in my medicine woman healing course in my training, which was a 13-month course training. And one of the ladies worked with Tantra, and I just saw her energy, and she just vibrated. She just glowed. And I said to her, "Do you work with Tantra?" And she was like, "Yes." And I was like I felt it. Like I felt it. And I was like, "I want more of this." And she told me about the commune, and I went there. And when I went there, they never said to set any intention. It was about just doing the meditations, doing the tantric yoga, the tantric massage, and releasing the blockages that's within us. And it just naturally came up from doing the practices, what we needed to let go of. Now, there's a whole nother thing, which, if you're working on healing yourself, then setting a specific intention. And this is one of the things that I'm doing at this time right now, which is why I'm also using Tantra and these plant medicine things to do specific healing of my body. Take it away, Keena.
Yeah. So I don't have much to add to that. I guess I'll just say,
See, that's why I was like, let me go first.
yeah, go
Let me
for
go first. I'm like, I ain't got nothing else to add.
I compliment what you said. I can piggyback off of that. I think that it's both, right? So oftentimes you enter in when you're on the journey to healing and liberation and growth, you don't necessarily know what's going to come up. And right. So you don't necessarily know what you need. You just like, I don't know why I'm here. I just know I need something else. What I've been doing is not working.
Yes.
And so I am just open to trying this. And then whatever comes up, then I'll deal with that as it arises. And that allows you to be present. And it's and being present, then you're able to not have these expectations, right? You're not creating resistance when you're being present. And so now you're like, okay, I'm just here. Where can I soften? Where can I surrender? Where am I resisting? Where am I holding this in my physical body? If I close my eyes right now, where do I literally feel this in my body? Is my chest tight? Do I feel knots in my stomach? Are my shoulders tight? Is there a knot in my throat? You get to, kind of do this scan, this inventory of self. Yeah. And to your point about if you are doing manifestation and creation work, then, being intentional in moments. So how I've used Tantra to help finish writing my book, because you can now take this energy, this fire energy, this Kundalini energy, and transmute it for something that has nothing to do with sex whatsoever. Right. It's, how can I finish my book? How can I go be more productive at work? Maybe I need to get a new job. Maybe I need to manifest a new house, whatever. So it's not like I do this, I have this blissful moment, and then everything just falls into place. It's more of me getting out the way. I'm taking action. I'm just not worried about the specifics of how it gets done. So with Tantra, it's allowing you to get out of the way of worrying about the how and trusting that whatever comes up, however it comes up, is exactly what's supposed to happen in the process. So
Yes, yes. I love it. And Eva says, but to be honest, I don't want to right now. Ask God if it is time, he will bring who deserves my cookie.
absolutely
Yes,
discernment for the cookie. I know that's
yes.
right.
And so Kendra says, how long does it take to learn Tantra? Which is a great question as well. Um, you can't really say 1 year, 2 years. It's a lifelong
Practice.
process, lifelong of learning. Now, I do teach Tantra. So if you do want to learn, I do teach Tantra. You can go to my website. I have what's a 3 month um, Tantra 101, which is basic Tantra shamanic Tantra foundations course. And I teach a lot of tantric meditations. I teach the tantric breath work, tantric eye gazing, the Yabiyum microcosmic orbit breathing. And then I have a second level of Tantra breath work, which is more advanced breath work, where I teach rebirthing breath work, yoni breathing, lingam breathing, ovarian breathing. Um, and then I have a third level of Tantra where I teach tantric massage, yoni mapping, clitoral mapping, pleasure mapping, and lingam massage, yoni massage. So those are the three levels that I do teach, all virtual classes. I used to do them in person, but post COVID, everything is virtual. And then I do have like a retreat, a weekend, like especially with the tantric massage. Now that post COVID is over, I will be offering where we could come in person and do a lot of the work that we've learned to practice hands on. So hit me up, follow me on IG, Prandara Prim underscore Tantra. Facebook is Renee Adolph, and my website is www.prandaraprim.com. Um, let's see if we have any other comments. Eva says, yes, I am. Perfect. All right. Anything else you want to share, Kina, before we sign off? Anything that you might want to add? Eva said, listening and understanding. Yes, girl.
Yeah, I would just say that, Bliss Tantra, it's not something that you find, it's something that you cultivate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, experiencing bliss is your birthright. And so when you start to remove these blockages, right? When you start to do this work and embrace your energy and show it fully, then you're going to shift in ways you never imagined. And it's not just, from a sensual place. It's also from a financial place. It's also from a health place. It's from, the way you show up in connection with other people, the way you show up in connection with yourself. And so, it's a beautiful practice, and I like to call it a practice because it's something that you never perfect. It becomes, kind of a way of life. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm not like, I'm going to practice Tantra while I'm grocery shopping. No, I'm already in a state of, bliss,
Yeah.
and so, but that is Tantra. Or, I could say like, with yoga, I just show up a certain kind of way. I live life in a space of neutrality. So a lot of things don't rock, my energetic boat, so to speak. And so it becomes a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tantra is a tool that helps you elevate your way of being so that you have better health, better wealth, more abundance, better mindset, better relationships. It's just a tool that you can add to your toolkit, but it's a powerful tool.
A powerful tool. I love that. Well said. It is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. And so, and you said it so beautifully well. Thank you so much. Because oftentimes it's hard to explain Tantra. You have to feel it, you have to experience it to understand.
Mm-hmm.
When you go through and you do a workshop, or you do a tantric exercise and you feel it through your body, you're like, oh. And when you start to learn how to channel that energy, and it's with you every day and it's moving, you're like, this is who I am, this is what I am.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
Yeah. And
Feels
we're connected.
connected.
If you think about I know we're getting ready to wrap it up, but if you think about the chakras in your body, right? These energy centers in your body, if you have a blockage in your root chakra, that's the base of your spine, right? If you have one in your sacral area, if you have one in your solar plexus, those are the first three. If there are any blockages there, of course, you're going to be disconnected everywhere else in your body. And so it becomes even more important to evaluate, where am I feeling this tension? Where do I have this block? Because not only is it creating tension and dis-ease and issues in that one area that it's blocked, but it's cutting off other things. Like, you can't open up a heart space and have this orgasmic blissful energy in your heart space because you don't feel it, because you got all this other stuff going on in the body. So that's just something else to consider, the importance of removing, releasing, healing these blocks so that your body can come into alignment. Because then when you're in alignment, then now synchronicities start to happen, and like life just becomes awesome at that point. So,
And you no longer say life be lifing.
right. Ancestors be ancestring or whatever, Like,
But the funny thing is, life will still be lifing, right?
it's always no life.
It's always gonna be right. And things are always gonna happen. And there's a picture, there was a meme that I saw where they said, what people think when you become enlightened and you're like this. And then it's like, what's really happening when you're enlightened? It's like, ah!
Turn it off.
So similar, even though you have a tantric lifestyle, stuff is going to happen, right? And you're going to feel the emotions, and it's beautiful to experience the different emotions. But you know that ultimately you know how to get yourself back to that state of bliss, that state of being, that state of oneness, that state of being present, And so I often joke and say Tantra messed me up because I'm like, ignorance was bliss. But and I lived my life laughing and whatever, and I thought I was happy, and just I was, but now I'm beyond happy. Like, there's just a joy inside of me, and it's like I'm healthy,
Yeah.
And even though I thought I was happy pre tantra, I was doing all of these things, drinking. I drank a lot. Not a lot, like I wasn't an alcoholic, but I drink a lot. Like,
Yeah.
maybe the average person, you go out, you party, and you drink. But I wasn't aware of the harm that this stuff was doing to my body, right? I would eat all kinds of things, and I was like, oh my God, this steak is so good, the best steak I've ever had, right? But now, post tantra, I'm more conscious, more aware of what I'm putting into my body. Does that mean I'm completely vegan or I don't ever drink alcohol? No, but I'm conscious and I'm more aware of what I'm putting into my body. So for the most part, I'm plant-based, but consciously, if I'm doing something, I will say, okay, right now I choose to eat this lamb because I'm at Eclipse Luna and this lamb is so damn good, right?
With awareness comes choice. That's right.
Right. So it's a choice, right? But then I'll do that, and then I know, okay, I'm gonna do a detox. I might fast. I'm gonna do something to cleanse this out, but I'm making a conscious choice, as opposed to just living my life blindly, doing whatever from these closed eyes kind of perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to thank you, Kina, for coming on here. It was great, 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 great to have you. Like, I feel like we need to have a part two because, there was some stuff we didn't even really talk about. But
Let's do it.
like,
Because I want to talk to the people about how to use tantra to manifest money. I like it. Let's go.
right, okay, that'll be a part two. Because I feel like people want to manifest in some specific intention.
How can you bring this into yeah, let's do it for sure. Let's do it. Thank you for having me on. This was great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So go ahead and follow her. That's her website for what Kina offers, KinaHodges.com. IG is Kina_unmasked. Follow me. If you are not following me on YouTube, go ahead and hit the follow button, or the subscribe button, I should say, and hit the notification bell. Go ahead and follow me on IG at @Prandara_Prim_Tantra, or Facebook. That's my website for my courses, my upcoming courses. I do cacao ceremonies, hape initiations. I do one-on-one. So if you want to do a one-on-one session with me, um, I do coaching. I do tantra therapy. I bring in everything that I've learned as well. My background is in psychotherapy. I got my master's in psychology, so I used to have a private practice doing traditional psychology, licensed in Maryland and Virginia. I decided to expand that, and now I take my psychotherapy into a more holistic approach where I bring in my medicine woman training, my shamanism, my tantra, my plant medicine. So I do one-on-one private hape sessions, sound bowl healings, cacao sessions, tantric massage, kundalini activation healing, Reiki, journeying, all of that. So, Kina, if you want to go ahead and talk about what you do as
Yeah,
well,
sure.
so people can know.
Yeah, so thank you. So I am an embodiment and personal growth coach. Um, and basically, what I do is we start with the mindset, and we use a number of different holistic and somatic practices to help you cultivate the life that you want. So, improving your health, improving your finances, and improving your relationships. We use plant medicine, we use yoga, we use tantra, we do kundalini energy, we do breath work. And I also host international retreats where you get to have more of that one-on-one with me. So I have a couple of those coming up, and then I got a couple of have a small group course called Block to Bliss that we're launching March 1st, and yeah, all the good stuff. So just make sure that you follow me. You can get in touch with me through either of these channels, and I look forward to us continuing the conversation. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so she has a retreat coming up in April in Mexico.
Yeah,
In
I've got
Mexico.
4 actually.
Yes. So if you want to go to Mexico, hit her up, follow that. And I also have one coming up next year in January in Brazil. Both of our retreats are similar. It'll be plant medicine. So mine in Brazil will be with indigenous tribes from Brazil. We're going to be doing Cambo, ayahuasca, hape, and cacao. So it's going to be great. Her retreat in April in Mexico will also be with yoga, ayahuasca, hape, tamascal. So follow us, hit us up if you're interested in doing one of these retreats. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. It was amazing. Well, let's say, it looks like we got one more comment. What was that? Okay. Yes, Coach K. Okay.
Yeah. So, Coach, I have my clients call me Coach K. Yeah. I know who that is. Hey, hey.
That's you. That's you. That's you, girl. Embodiment coach. I was like, wait, what? Love it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Share this if you got something from it and you think somebody else could get something from it. All right. Thank you, Coach K.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great night.